Alright, what's up YouTube? It is your boy, Chief Muay Thai here. And we are going to be doing a pretty much like a little Muay Thai kind of, I don't want to say podcast because it's not like a little thing, but we'll title it a certain way. I guess a Muay Thai weekly thing, some type of Muay Thai weekly thing where, you know, we just post something once a week about what I learned from martial arts. You guys comment down below what you learned from martial arts, or just doing your dream job, doing what you love to do, you know, or how do you want to achieve your dream job, meaning your goals and things of that nature. The one thing that I feel as if I learned this week, because I had some days where, you know, where I just got kind of stalled out, you know, like I felt like I was in some void space, you know, just kind of just there, you know. It seemed like as I became more aware to certain situations, it seemed like I sat up there and, you know, it seemed like the more I became aware of certain things that was going on around me, or just in my life, or just the knowledge that things that I've been learning about for like the past few years and things like that, it was just kind of just like, where do I go from here? How do I feel about this? You know, and that was my number one thing, was how do I feel about this, because it was really just sitting up there and like, I guess the thing that's kind of bothering me was kind of just like, so what event in our lives caused us to have like a certain fear of like certain things? So my biggest thing is being laughed at. You know, I've been laughed at all my life. I've been physically bullied no more than probably about like 5 times or so, or something like that, 5 or less times or so. But it did lead into about like maybe 3 or 4 fights, 3, 4, 5 fights. So it was more verbal bullying than 5 times, but as far as like the physical bullying, it was probably like 5 or less times. And it was just like, my biggest thing though was, it was kind of just like the reason why I've been going back and I've been, you know, doing the basics and everything all over again, as far as martial arts, as far as like meditating now, as far as like stretching now, as far as mentally how I'm solving problems, doing journal prompts, things like that. So I'm starting to on some super blue type of stuff, I'm starting to calm the mind and have inner peace. And in the midst of me having bad moments on my day, maybe like once this week, but yesterday it was just more of a term of just like visualization, you know, and so what kind of set up there and got me to go to a certain thing was a video named Planet Level, and it was like, why we don't understand gohan. And that can be a very accurate statement. And the reason why I say that can be a very accurate statement is because when you go and you look at trauma A and trauma, or not statement, but video, when you look at what they say about trauma A and trauma B, if you sit up there and you look at the things that happen to gohan, you would kind of sit up there and think to yourself, you know, you would kind of think to yourself, what in my life has me kind of chill, kind of had me like shaken to the core about some things. David Goggins says that when you truly grow and in order to push your body to the max potential, you have to challenge your mind first. The body is not going to go far without the mind, because eventually when you start to get tired, that's when the doubts will creep in. I've sat up there, and so my trauma A is simply being in Louisville, Kentucky. And Louisville, Kentucky is a very nice city, you know, especially when you go into like Somerset, Kentucky, even though behind the scenes there is like drugs moving in and out of that city like crazy. Kentucky is apparently like a midway station between the entire country where they can get drugs to like other parts of like the country and stuff like that, as opposed to like the drugs actually coming from here. So my biggest thing was growing up in Park Hill. This is my trauma A in Louisville, Kentucky. So Park Hill in Louisville, Kentucky, I seen a guy, and it was a gang member. And the gang members, it's not that gang members scare me like the physical body. It's more of like the spiritual thing, because it's like, what are you gonna do if things go bad to worse? Because I know that when it comes to people like you, I can't sit up there and talk things out with people like you all the time. People like you are not going to be quick to calm down if you are angry, pissed off. You can't control your emotions. You can't control your spirit. You can't control your mind. You know, you eventually just start to lash out on the first instinct like this is a freaking Wolverine comic. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that. So, you know, my trauma A was just simply that, was gang members. You know, and one approached me, and one was about to take my bike. So you can only imagine that you're a kid, and let's say this is a clown, and I'm scared of. Let's say that I'm not scared of clowns. I'll beat the shit out of a clown. But let's say this is a clown, and then you sit up there and you be like, oh well, you know, this clown tells you to get off your bike. But except for this was a hood nigga, and this was the gang member. He told me to get off my bike. In the midst of him telling me to get off my bike, in the back of my mind, I could hear my mom was saying, if you let anybody take his bike when you get in his house, you're gonna get a whooping. You're gonna be in trouble. And so it wasn't the fact that it was a whooping, but it was the fact that I knew that my mother had worked very hard to spend her hard-earned money at the age of probably 5 or 6. And you don't really know too much, but you know at that time that it cost money to get shit. Now, whether you sit up there and you go about it, thinking about it, it's slightly different, then that's a whole different story. So I sit up there and I go, and in the midst of me sitting up there and watching this happen, that scared the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? Because you got people that's going around here, gang members going around here in Park Hill at that time, getting police officers, like they'll commit a crime and get a police officer to chase them and outrun them, and so somebody will pop the truck and somebody will start taking like guns and shit at the back of the trunk and shit, and just certain little shit. My best friend got hit by my childhood best friend probably about the age of 7, 8. Whenever you start going to school and stuff like that, he got hit by a motorcycle in Park Hill, and the motorcyclist didn't see him coming around that corner because he was going a pretty decent speed, but he didn't see my friend coming around that corner, and kids being kids, you jumping across the street and stuff like that, and he jumped across the street, and he jumped maybe a quarter into the street, and he got hit by a car because it wasn't the lane of that car. And so that was something that kind of scared the shit out of me, because that part was just more I couldn't do anything about it, you know, because if your friends are getting hurt, the last thing you want to do is see them get hurt and things like that. So, you know, the gang member stuff was just more you know, you have that initial fear that you're scared of, you know, something that scares you or makes you nervous, something that makes you feel insecure, Now that didn't make me feel insecure, but just meaning just the things that scare us, the things that shape us into trying to be better people than our fears. Especially if we work on it, time after time after time after time after time after time after time at the time. So when I sit up there and I'm going through these things and I'm dealing with all this stuff, it's a lot. The third thing was just simply just like the nitpicking and the bullying and stuff like that. At first it was just talking, and then it got to a point to where it was physical in some cases. Some people knew that I was kind of quiet and closed out. People will say, well, people could tell that you're not confident about yourself. It wasn't even that with me. It was just, I just wanted to be left alone. You know what I'm saying? I just watched my anime. I was just being a kid, and, you know, kids wanted to portray this ego like they was in the streets, or like they was in the streets if they wasn't the ball players or whatever, because everybody wanted that identity so bad. You know, people wanted the identity, but they didn't want the control. They just wanted to just get it. You know, so that was something that scared me. Not somebody having goals, but somebody that you can't talk to, that you can't have a conversation with before you go and throw down. Because most of the time, we're not even going to know why we're fighting. We just committing brutalist harm to each other for no reason. And yes, there is going to be harm in the world. I'd rather, you know, bang it out with somebody, meaning fight, than sit up there and go and you know, shoot. I don't have a gun. I don't own a gun. I don't even want to own a gun. I want to be the type of person where as long as I'm around the tree, and as long as I got something sharp to make an arrow, I'd rather go that route. But I have no need to want to kill, act tough, act like some super thug, act like some super thug or some Negro might. And when I mean by Negro might, as far as like my community, meaning black American Hebrews, is super niggas. Like, they not hood niggas, but they super niggas. Hustlers, dope dealers, whatever you call it, hang around, just shit like that. You know, niggas that wanna that's all emotional and shit like a damn girl or something like that. You know, they just very you can tell when they talk, like, they just very emotional. Like, have some damn substance about yourself or something, man. Like, man up, you know what I'm saying? Punch a nigga in the chest, man up, you know what I'm saying? Drink alcohol, push my nigga in the chest or something. You know, I don't drink alcohol neither, but, you know, just kind of joking around. Another thing of mine is just simply just when people sit up there and going into trauma B. My trauma B is simply sitting up there and recognizing that, like, seeing the world get more and more violent, me becoming more and more aware to these things, the going into verbal manipulation and things like that. You know, people will manipulate me, nitpicking with me, all these things that was an initial fear. It got bigger in a sense because during this whole thing, these events that are bothering me that's going on, it took, and I was working on it, and therapy helped me out at first, because it was a man named Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry was a very, 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 very honorable man, and he was great at what he did. If God was a therapist, Mr. Henry would be a fucking therapist. That's just how good he was. He didn't force you. It was to say anything or do anything. It was just like a flow, and he would just watch. He would throw out comments to start conversation starters and things like that. And my aunt and them asked why, you know, I wasn't talking when I came out the room. Was that man touching me or something like that? No. It was just me simply if I would have been able to talk like half of what I'm saying now, it was just me visualizing, reflecting, me sitting up there and understanding what this man was saying to me. You know, the questions that he was asking me. How I felt like I was in a safe space in these four walls in his office up in 7 counties. And that conversation, those helped me out a lot. So I've tried working on it before. I tried journaling and doing certain things before, but I didn't have the discipline to go with that. And so when I sit up there and I'm going through these things and I'm trying to figure out, like, what do I need to do? Well, going and the trauma B once again, when I'm sitting up there as a kid, as a teen, seeing a man named Pee Wee that used to live in Taylor Boulevard here in Louisville, I see them catch a couple bodies. You know what I'm saying? One time a dude ran up in the arcade apartments, was running from him, and it was like a damn rap video, just seeing somebody just dying and the video slow down, but the music is going. Only the music is going, no words or nothing like that. And he ran into the apartments, and the apartment doors that we got, if you slam them open, like if you slam them real hard, they'll close just twice as fast. But it was like God, it was like the Lord God of Israel I am was like, I give you enough chances, big dog, and you not turning your life around, it's time for you to go. And that door, and he slammed that door so hard, trying to run away from this man to save his life, that he sat up there and that door, it got stuck. And it got stuck in this damn concrete, because what was behind the thing was a concrete wall. And as soon as that happened, it was like the Pee Wee was able to go up in that apartment and pow, 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 pow. And this was right when I got out. I went to Lassiter Middle School. I was about 13, 14 years old, and I seen that, and I flew right back to my house, and everybody came back out to the house, and they came back out to the park like it was nothing. After they got the body out of the apartment and things like that, we was all just went to playing basketball, because we all knew what happened. We all knew the bad thing that happened, but we didn't understand what had happened. We didn't understand that somebody's life was taken and how that would affect somebody's family is the bigger issue. And so me seeing that was a problem, because I never healed from that. I never, and I'm not with that, find your inner child or show like that, like, you sound like a pedophile, like nah. So, I'm sitting up there just never really understanding stuff like that. So when I sit up there and you go to like the next thing, which is like kind of like now this does have to do with my parents and stuff like that. The verbal manipulation and stuff like that. Like, they taught me very good life lessons, like don't leave your cup around and things like that. Don't sit out there and cause somebody can put something in your drink. If your friend is going in the store and you see them be doing bad stuff and they don't tell you that they're about to do some bad stuff, walk away and walk out the store immediately. At least to give yourself a chance. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't got to go snitch on nobody. Well, you should snitch on somebody, because due to the commandments, if you believe in that Old Testament and only the Old Testament, if you don't say nothing, that's bearing false witness, because you helping somebody get away with it, doing bad shit. So, but when it came to my parents, stuff like that, it was the verbal manipulation. It was the constant manipulation. They had a great marriage, and they're still married now. They got better. They came back from wanting a divorce twice to loving each other smarter and better. So I'm not about to make it seem like they like bad or like not shit parents. Like, they didn't get us clothes and take us to appointments and stuff like that. And when we were sick, like, they didn't help, nurture us and continue to help us come back stronger, and like, they didn't help us through any type of adversity, but the problem was at that time period, at one time period of my life, when it came to me, I was more of a quiet child. Even though I was the oldest child, I wasn't no rebellious dude. I wasn't no, like, I'm sneaking out and going to parties and stuff like that. I'm not doing it, I'm not, going to school and showing my behind and doing certain stuff because I knew what was going to come behind that. I knew that I was going to get BTA, I was going to get built to ass. And I knew consequences to come behind that because that's what great parents do. You know what I'm saying? If you don't spare your child, the world going to spare your child, and you're going to get yourself caught up in that because emotionally you can't control, you didn't work on controlling yourself. And so, but my parents sat up there and was like when they was going through it, it sat up there and it bothered me because, it bothered me because, if they was going through something, they would put that out on me. Because my cousin wasn't was kind of like, it was centered around her. Sometimes a portion of it was centered around her. My sister kind of found a way to stay out of it, but my cousin was very close, so I don't know how that worked out, but they didn't really go towards her or fuck with her like that for some odd reason. At least because I don't know, it was just something that I guess like the relationship and stuff like that, they was more, open to like sharing certain things together as like a family and stuff like that. I was kind of more like closed off. I didn't really feel like I needed to really share anything or just anything like that. But it was just certain tactics and stuff like that, the nitpicking and stuff like that. I did the dishes and cleaned them all up, and then you throw them back in the sink with the dirty dishes and shit like that. And it just, I don't know, it's just like the word, the mind games and shit like that, the having conversations behind your back and shit like that. And that kind of, it not just destroyed my trust, it destroyed my belief in traditional relationships and things like that. Ever since I was little, I've seen neighbors cheat on each other. I've seen my parents cheat on each other. I've seen my cousin cheat on some of the guys that she was with when she first got with them. I've seen homeboys and stuff like that, even to this day, cheat on their girls and stuff like that. And I had a homie, I told him, he passed away now, so R.I.P. to my homie Ross, but I told him, I said, hey, man, if somebody across their homeboy, if somebody cheat on their girl, they'll cross their homeboy too. And sure enough, he had a pro boxing fight because he was about a fight or two from going pro and fighting on like dons and shit like that. And next thing you know, he was shot in the head. He was found shot in the head after winning the fight and then going and partying and stuff like that. And then it hurt my soul because I knew his son very, 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 very well. Very smart young man, a very athletic young man as well. So me having the manipulation games, seeing people die, me sitting up there and being nitpicked with, like, because of whether it's friends or family, or somebody got a problem going on and I happen to be in that friendship group or that family group, believe it or not, people are going to sit up there and somehow get me involved in order to fix their relationship. And that relationship could be simply, or introducing me to the problem could be simply just telling me the problem, putting it in my ear, seeing if they can get a reaction. And at that time, because I was weak mentally, I was resilient in heart, but I was resilient in my mind when it came to motivation, but not discipline. I was weak disciplined as a disciplined man. And so that's my trauma B. My trauma B stems from just simply the same things as the first one, with seeing people, we're sitting up there and having gang members that are just bad people, put me in a trying to take my things and things like that. Being abused by my mom and stuff like that, and me and my siblings, and just going through all those things as my trauma A, I'm trauma B. So before this video begins, or just at the end, if you didn't really like understand, or you're trying to connect all the dots and stuff like that, I will go down in the description and type this out for you all, just so that you all can sit out there and can see my story, can get used to who I am and what I am, because now I'm about to start sitting up there and I'm about to start putting out full videos of my workouts and my martial art training sessions as well. So you're all gonna get a more experienced version on how to learn martial arts and how to implement martial arts into your life. So thank you guys for what you do, and continue being great. Be better than you was yesterday, and not your friend, your family member, the person at work, or the person in your class at school. Focus on being better than you, because if you find yourself going up against any of these people, whether it's a friend, family, classmate, or somebody you work with, or just simply a stranger on the street, you'll be able to overcome them even when the doubt's creeping your mind, because of discipline and hard work. Stay humble, stay hard, stay strong.